Hey everybody. Hope you guys all had a great weekend. Is the audio okay? Awesome, awesome. So yeah, definitely a crazy time, crazy weekend with this Melania token launching here. Definitely threw a curveball and everything. What when it launched yesterday or 2 days ago, the Trump token, I think a lot of us just faded it, and it was something that kind of caught us all by storm. And I think that a lot of people made a lot of money, and there's an amazing amount of disparity between whether people think that this is good or whether people think this is bad. And as you can see up here, I made a few posts yesterday, and my thoughts kind of have changed now. The fact that Melania has, came out with this token, and it just is kind of seeming a little bit more concerning in a way. It's kind of hard to fully grasp what Trump is trying to do with whatever this is. I don't know if he just wants his face on a top 10 token or what, but I think it's very interesting timing. The market has been rallying the last few days up until this inauguration. And I think that this next few weeks is probably going to be the most interesting time in crypto that we've seen in a long time. And, originally, and I still think that this is probably the case, that, there's a lot of money that just flowed in. I made this post, and as you can see, Moonshot right here, it essentially was, the main onboarding for people that were not involved in the crypto space. And, as you can see right here, they processed almost 400 million in volume, crushed fiat on-ramp records by orders of magnitude, and brought almost 200,000 people on chain. So when I went over here and I posted this, it kind of just seems like a lot of new people are looking at crypto as a casino. As bad as it sounds, that's how you bring in outsiders. That's how you bring in people, is by looking at all these gains and not and wanting to be involved in some way. So it seems like this probably is still in play. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments here. I'd love to see what you guys think, because it's definitely something that's very interesting. And I don't think I've seen anything like this in all of my time in crypto. But overall, I think that it's still net positive, that a lot of new people are now realizing what crypto is. They're seeing what it's all about. They're seeing people make money, whether that's good or bad. I think that that's kind of how, where we're at in the cycle, is that's exactly what we need for this last rally, for this last leg up, in my honest opinion. If you look at where we're at in the cycles, this right here makes sense to me. And it seems like, like I said, there's a lot of people that think it's really bad, a lot of people that think it's really good. And I think we just have to wait and see. But my honest opinion was that more money is going to flow in. People are going to get bored of these meme coin tokens. And, what's going to happen then? They're going to go look around and try to find more opportunities. And they'll probably get tired of meme coins and say, you know what? Let me invest in some of these tokens that have a potential to do something in the future. So I think that that's really how I'm looking at this. Granted, we don't get a Donald Trump Jr. coin and a Barron coin, and, they completely just flood and wreck the market. I think the only bad thing that we learned is the fact that there's a lot of disparity in crypto. And I think that the age of everything pumping is very likely over. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have already seen that if you've been holding these altcoins that have been really lackluster. I mean, there's only been a few winners, in my honest opinion, this cycle. Compared to 2017, you could throw money at anything and it would have went up. Even 2021, we saw massive amounts of, you know, really, you could throw money at anything, and we saw thousands and thousands of percent gains. So I just wanted to start off by referencing this whole Trump thing, because of course it's what everybody's talking about. And like I said, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments or the live chat. I'd love to hear what you guys think. But it definitely is a really mixed view of how this is going to affect the crypto space. But in my most honest opinion, simple opinion, I think that this is bringing a lot of attention to crypto. A lot of people will probably lose money as usual. But what's going to happen is they're going to get onboarded, and it really showed that you could, turn nothing into billions and billions of dollars of potential value. And I think that that kind of showcases the power of decentralization and just crypto in general. So I still think it's going to be a net positive. That might change with new news that comes out or whatever else happens. But yeah, I think that it's going to be a super interesting thing. So I just wanted to start off with that. And throughout this whole stream, if you guys have any questions for me, or if you guys have any request of tickers at the end, or anything that you guys want to look at, I'll be glad to do that. I'm first going to go over Bitcoin, just my general thoughts of what's happening here. I'll reference the total crypto market cap, and then we'll look at some heat maps. We'll look at XRP, look at Ethereum, Solana, and then anything else that you guys are interested in. Feel free to send it right over. So yeah, we'll start off with this right here. I posted this longer analysis. I think it was almost a week ago now. Let's see. This was January 12th. So yeah, a little bit over basically a week ago. And this was the day before we had the deviation below 90K. And we saw exactly that, the deviation below 90K. And the reason why I thought that was going to happen is because we looked back and we saw that there was a clear pattern every single time we went higher this cycle. And as you guys can see here, it was basically a deviation below the lows, and then we shot right back up for our, next leg up. So I think that it's a very, very interesting thing of what we saw. And if I switch over to TradingView here, we can see that that's basically exactly what we saw. That's basically exactly what we saw under that 90K. And this was the original chart that I posted on the X post right here, and it played out near perfect. So now, it really brings up the question, was that the low? Because in my honest opinion, if that was not the low, I think that we would be in for a much larger correction down to potentially low 80s, even mid 70s, and that would really wreck a lot of where I believe we are in the cycle. So I think that it's a very, very interesting thing. And if you guys want to check out this post, it was about 7 days ago. It's a long post, and there's a lot of education in here because this setup is one of my favorite setups in the crypto market. It's definitely one of the cleanest setups on any time frame. So if you're a trader, these deviations here are absolutely great opportunities. And then one other post I made that I wanted to reference. This was, I believe, yesterday. This was a top trend breakout. And essentially, Bitcoin was retesting that as it was doing this deviation below 90K. So to me, it's a pretty interesting thing. I don't use trend lines too much, but a trend line of this size, in my opinion, definitely holds some weight. And it really emphasizes my opinion that that was the low. And if it wasn't, I think that we're definitely in for a much different type of cycle. And I'm sure you guys also saw my seasonality analysis where I kind of showed that this is the time in the cycle where everything usually goes parabolic. If you look at 2021, we're like lined up completely perfect. And later in the stream, I'll show you the comparison between the total crypto market cap now and the total crypto market cap in the 2021 cycle. And it was definitely a super, super interesting thing. So I think that we're definitely in for it. And if I have to make a guess, I think that as long as this meme coin, Trump meme coin thing doesn't completely break the market, I still believe that we're in for a fun few weeks. I think that as long as Trump comes out and he does these executive orders and he speaks about crypto and he doesn't drop the ball, I think that everything's lined up, that the next leg is really upon us. And the awesome part about it is that there's such a clear deviation. There's such a clear invalidation to this thesis. And if we pop over to this chart here, I'm sure you guys also saw the election VWAP that I've been watching for, I don't know, weeks and weeks now. And of course, we're well above that right now. So I think that it all lines up perfectly with this top trend line, just the general area where we're at in the market, all the election VWAP, a few more moving averages, and I think that this should resolve upwards. And I think that if it doesn't resolve upwards, we're going to be in for probably the most complicated time I've ever experienced in the crypto market. And that's probably the easiest way I can put it, is it would really, really be a complicated time. And why I would say that is because this post I also made, this was about 10 days ago, and I was showing the pattern of the last 2 cycles. And I'm sure you guys know that Bitcoin dominance has not fallen the way that people have expected it to fall, in past cycles. It's really been holding up well. And my honest opinion on that is because of the ETFs. I think that the ETFs have taken a lot of liquidity, and there's no easy way for that money in those ETFs to flow into the altcoins. So I don't think that we're not going to see this, but it just begs the question of maybe we won't see this pattern. And I kind of posted this and said, have we topped? It was more of a question that the last 2 cycles, we saw such a clear signature. And that clear signature was that altcoins went crazy when Bitcoin, already topped and was putting in its last retracement level. So I think that that's something that I'm keeping close eyes on too, because if we lay over total or the others market cap right here, we can clearly see that, we don't have that pattern. I would be a lot more concerned, or I wouldn't be concerned, I would be happy if, the altcoins were flying as Bitcoin was putting in this consolidation phase, because there's a lot of questions of, is this distributive or is this consolidation before the higher leg up? And it's like the only thing we really have to go off of, unless you just want to make a guess, is this right here, is this pattern of the altcoins, going crazy while Bitcoin put in a distributive pattern. So I personally don't think we're at that area. I think that there's a lot of overthinking of what Trump's doing here. I don't think it's good necessarily. I think we would have been better off if it didn't happen at all. But if we look at the bright side, a bunch of people are learning about crypto. A bunch of people on the sidelines heard about all these people that made money. And at the end of the day, it's human nature. We all want to gamble. We all want to be involved in something that is, new and something that everyone's making money off of. And of course, that's not the case. We all know that. But people that are new to this, they look at this and it's like, oh, awesome. Look at all these people that are making all this money. And I think that might be something that just gets more eyes on the industry. And at the end of the day, that's really what we need at this point in the cycle. We need new, fresh capital to enter this space. So I kind of wanted to just give my general thoughts there of where we're at in the cycle. I know, there's a lot of disparity. Personally, I don't have enough evidence to say that the market is topped, of course. I just don't think that we've seen any of the evidence unless this cycle is going to completely catch us all by storm. And like I said, the cool part is I have a very clear invalidation here. And that invalidation is losing this area. As simple as it seems, if we lose this area, I think that we would see a pretty large correction and pullback across the entire market. And I'll also show you one of the favorite things I use is volume profiles. I'm sure some of you guys have seen volume profile and time price opportunity here, which is kind of give you guys the same view. And that view is that this right here is air. So that is between 85K and about 76K. Historically speaking, if we have a strong impulse up in a bull market and we're looking for continuation, we don't want to fill back down, in my opinion. That puts us out months and months away. And I think that would come with Trump dropping the ball, Trump not doing anything regarding the crypto space, him just completely ignoring and basically lying to us, which at this point I would be shocked. I think that it's pretty obvious he's going to do something, whether it's the strategic Bitcoin reserve, whether it is executive orders allowing banks to custody crypto, the SEC being friendly to crypto. I just think if I look at this face value and I try not to overthink it, I think we're on the cusp of just a crazy next few months. And whether we get a pullback first, a deeper pullback first or not, I think that that's to be determined. But I still would stick with the idea that Bitcoin should not break below 85K. That's kind of my line in the sand. I think that this consolidation here should absolutely resolve upwards. And like I said earlier, it's because the fact that when we pumped up here, we did it in such a quick manner that we usually fill this gap very, very quick. And I'll give you guys an example of what I mean here. If we go back to the 2021 bull run, we can see that this right here is what I like to call liquidity voids. So we call them low volume areas and we call them liquidity voids. So if we look right here and we throw a volume profile over this area, we can see that basically Bitcoin, when it went up this fast, it created absolutely nothing here. Of course, I could pull this a little bit farther so we could see a little bit more data, basically right until there. We can see that this was just complete air. And what happened when we lost it? We completely filled it very, very, very quickly. And I think that that would be similar to if we broke the 85K region. So as of right now, I have no evidence to say that that's going to happen. I don't think that it's going to happen. I think that this right here is a bull structure. And considering that we saw the exact pattern that we saw the whole time through this cycle, even from the FTX low, my opinion is, this is going to resolve upwards. And I think that it's just a waiting game right now. And if we pop over to the heat maps, we can see that, this pullback here, I was kind of wanting this. I was kind of expecting it in the back of my mind. And the reason why is because, a bunch of people piled into longs the last few days. Bitcoin obviously held up very, very well, but a bunch of people piled into longs. And I said on a few of my posts that I expect, these late longers to get completely wiped out. And that's kind of what we just saw, in my opinion. I think that a lot of positioning built up here. People are excited. Trump's getting in tomorrow. He's the first crypto president, blah, blah, blah. And I think that this right here is completely healthy. And as we can see, we even had a stack of orders right here. So that's why it's not too surprising to me either, because we had a lot of spot liquidity right here. This is Binance Spot. And of course, perp market can only do so much. As I'm sure if you guys follow my posts, you know I reference the perp versus the spot market a lot. And I think that that's basically what we saw right there. It's just a little bit of overheated. We really didn't take a break from this 89K low. And in my opinion, even coming back down to here, and if I switch over to TradingView here, we can look at the TPO chart that I've been looking at for Bitcoin since the election. This basically shows every single 30-minute block. Every single block is equivalent to about 30 minutes. So in my opinion, I think that Bitcoin has no problem even coming back down to the 96 to 98K area. I don't know if that's going to happen. We're going to see what happens. I think that if you're in positions going in tomorrow, you might have just got wiped out if you were, top longing right there. But I think that this is completely fine. I think that, I still give it down to here. This is basically something that we see if we break out a value over the last month and a half to continue to retest this big area. We could see this is where the most time has been spent, and all of the anchored VWAPs from the last, major swing points are stationed right there. And then this dotted, this box right here is basically the point of control. So this shows the most time spent since the election was actually at 97K. So in my opinion, I think that Bitcoin can pull back even more. And, I think that this is completely fine. Of course, if you're holding altcoins, I'll be touching a little bit more on altcoins later in the stream. But I think that, you have to be very selective. And I think that this has been shown multiple times. I don't know if we'll see a period where everything goes ballistic. I just don't know. I don't think that we have that much liquidity. And the best opinion, or the best proof of that, was when the Trump token launched, and even this Melania token. Look what the market did. That's people trying to pull out, at least for Bitcoin, for the Trump token, people were pulling out of the market, chasing that. And the fact that we could see that evidently shows the lack of liquidity in this market. So we can hope that this is a bit mass onboarding event where a lot of liquidity floods into the market. But I think that it's just a super interesting point. So if you guys have any questions on that, just give me a second to catch up with the chat. I want to see if there was anything that I missed here. Yeah, I also don't see the reason why they would launch Trump. I think that the simplest thing is the idea that Trump wants his face on, a crypto. He wants to be involved. It's just, he wants to float his ego in that manner, in my opinion. So yeah. Will narrative still be important, or are we at the point where control over what rises is dependent on celebrity meme and what is mentioned by the president? I think narratives are very important. I think that you just hit on the nose. That's exactly the narrative that we're in right now. It's going to be the Trump narrative. Whatever he associates with. We saw it with XRP. Of course, I think that was predictable based on charts, but sure enough, we saw Brad Garlinghouse meet with him, and all of these US based cryptos have really, really, taken over the gains recently. So absolutely. Thoughts on H bar, I think, are that it's been the best performing coin in the top 100 since the election. And I think that that's an interesting point. I don't know too much about H bar, the technicals behind it, but I think that, if you guys saw my post about the ISO 20022 coins, not sure if that's complete just marketing or what, but I find it very coincidental that the top coins since the election have been almost all of these ISO coins. So HBAR obviously was positioned well for that. And yeah, I can cover XLM towards the end. Hold mostly XRP, but want to rotate to F later. Seems like XRP would pump first and then F. It's an interesting point because I believe that, we've seen Ethereum just get completely wrecked no matter what. I think Ethereum has just, it's really just not caught a breath. And Solana has really, really taken over, the attention from that. So I really don't know. My best saying is I'd rather be late to the party than to show up to the wrong one. So in my honest opinion, I will hop on the Ethereum train when there is strength being shown. For me to sit here anymore, I already was wrong about one of my trades back in December on Ethereum. I had some option calls. They were doing very well. And then Ethereum just absolutely, tanked itself. So I think that at this point, I'd rather be late to that party than to sit here and try to predict when Ethereum is going to outperform, because if you chart against Sol, it's really embarrassing. So yeah, that's my honest opinion. Where can I find the charts you're looking at to be able to see the sell walls in order? That's all through Trading Light. So Trading Light is a web-based platform, as we can see over here. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of times that I've used this. I think that it's a very powerful tool. One of the best things I use right here is called the order book skew. This essentially gives you a running total of the orders within, I have it set for 10% right now. So we can see that within 10% of price, it's going to add up all of the asks in the book and then all of the bids, and it's going to give kind of a level. So right now there's 1,500 more Bitcoin wanting to be sold than wanting to be bought. And as you can see, I mean, it's pretty accurate. Just like when we pumped up here, we saw that the skew went pretty negative, dumped down here, went positive, and then we just needed to fill a little bit more, but it was still a positive skew that whole time. And then look, we're back to a negative skew up here. We saw all of those sell orders kind of sitting up there, and sure enough, we're pulling back here. So I know the market's dumping right here, and I think that, it's completely fine. I think that this was destined to happen. I think anyone that thought that we were just going to fly into the inauguration the whole week, we're just going to keep flying, there's going to be a lot of volatility, guys. So I think that, just have to be prepared for that if you're a trader. There's definitely going to be a lot of volatility. And I think that, if the next leg is about to print, the whole point of this is to shake everyone out. So, hopefully that makes sense there. So yeah, let me switch back over here. I wanted to touch on this as well. I'm sure you guys have seen this. This is a pretty amazing thing. I use a lot of different types of analysis. When I'm doing shorter term trading, it's a lot of, VWAPs, volume-based stuff, volume profiles, heat maps, stuff like that, order flow. But I always like to give awesome fractal comparisons and, just general insights that are, unique. And to me, this is really unique. This to me is super, super unique. The fact that the inauguration here, this was Biden, this was Trump, is right when the total crypto market cap was retesting its previous cycle all-time high. So I think that this right here is also adding to my idea that we have such a clear invalidation here, guys. Like, such a clear invalidation. It feels wrong to have such a clear invalidation because there's so many things that are just lining up perfectly right here. And it's like, if we lose this level, I think it's super simple. I think that we need to watch out below. And I hate to be reactive like that, But I think it's that simple, and I think that that's the right way to approach this market, considering everything we're seeing here. It's like this is January. This was January. We got Trump coming in, first president that obviously likes crypto if he's going to launch his own meme coin, and we have Joe Biden here who didn't even mention crypto, and sure the market still went rallied because why? I think it was because that's the point of the cycle we were at. So, I think that I just don't want to overthink it. I think that it's super simple. I think that it makes more sense to be bullish here, to say that the next leg's going to print, than to be bearish. And, if you're wrong, you're wrong. You have clear invalidations here, and I think it's super, super simple. So yeah, I think that the seasonality is super important. The sell in May and walk away is usually pretty accurate. So I think we have a few months to really see this market go crazy. So yeah, well, let's now touch on XRP. I'm sure a lot of you guys are interested in XRP here, and the XRP has been pretty amazing. Let's see. Oh, one other thing before we move on to XRP is I posted this about 7 days ago, and this was the same thing. We saw this is just putting 2017 in the mix. For whatever reason, every single cycle, right when January hit, the inauguration, Trump got in, Biden, Trump again. Look what happened after. So it's like, if you want to bet against this, it's completely fine. I think, everybody has their own thoughts, and to bet against that's completely fine. But to me, it's like, I'd rather try to go with history, because that's how a lot of my success has been seen in the market, is looking at repeating patterns and seeing, okay, if that happened and we have all of these reasons and all of this stuff lining up, there's so much confluence. It's like, why should I bet against that? It just seems like the more, the more obvious thing to do is to expect us to go higher, and then to have very strict plans if we don't. I think that just makes sense to me. And I think Trump is really, really, like, I hate to put so much on Trump, but man, this market, a lot of positioning has been built up with what Trump's going to do in the next few weeks. So the next few weeks are going to be crazy, guys. I would be shocked if they aren't. I think that the next few weeks might be the craziest time I've seen in this market since I started in 2017. So I'm excited. I hope all of you guys are excited, and it's going to be fun. So yeah, I'm sure if also a lot of you guys saw the XRP analysis I made. This was a deep analysis, was really popular, got over 1,000 likes here. People liked it. And essentially what I was doing is I was looking at all of the confluence of where XRP was hitting. This was, I think, the day before we hit 330. And as we can see here, big area on the dominance, and I'll show these on TradingView here shortly. Same thing here, XRP denominated in gold. It was trying to break its 2021 high. This is XRP denominated in the NASDAQ 100. So essentially, people were confused, like, oh, why does that matter? And the crazy part is it doesn't really matter. But for whatever reason, I denominate XRP, Bitcoin, in a lot of different things. And for whatever reason, guys, it is very, very accurate. Like, it gives you a view that you won't see on the USD chart. So for all of you guys watching, I would definitely suggest checking out these custom denominations I do, because they are super powerful. And, as we saw XRP cooling down here, wasn't unexpected in my eyes at all. I think that XRP cooling down where it did, we're battling the most important region, and we have Tesla to confirm, pairing with Tesla to confirm it, the dominance, gold, the NASDAQ, the dominance of the crypto market, and the all-time high, the previous all-time high. That's a big area to overcome. And that's exactly what I said here. Massive level to overcome. Fully breaking all of this puts XRP in price discovery. And just like I said here, too much confluence to deny it. And I think that if we see a full break of this level, we are going to be in for a 100% move. Maybe not exactly 100%, maybe it's 70%, maybe it's a little bit more, but it just makes sense to me that if XRP fully clears all of these levels, it's probably in for a very strong, push. And that's why, to me, I have no problem if XRP spends a week or 2 weeks up here. And I'll show the nitty gritty here shortly, but this is kind of what I showed for a short term. This was right when we hit 320. So the next day we went up to almost 340. So I was about 12 hours early here, which is completely fine. We go over to TradingView here, and I think, let me make sure, I think it was on, what chart was this on? 1 second. This was on the Binance Perp chart. So we look here, we can see that that's basically what we're seeing now. It just kind of happened in a, longer view. I mean, I was just I was just basically a little bit short here. Just a few hours early there. So, in my honest opinion, I think that XRP looks completely fine in the short term if this level holds right here. I think that this is a pretty important level to hold. I'm sure you guys know in continuation patterns, retesting its breakout level is not unexpected at all. I think that that's something that we see a lot. And the fact that we're doing that right now, it's going to be a telltale to see what happens right here. I think that it's definitely going to be super interesting. And if we pop over to my TPO chart here on XRP, we can see that XRP, technically speaking, can still go down to about 270 to 280 without things being super broken. So that's really my short-term line in the sand here. It's going to, of course, depend on the rest of the market. Bitcoin, everything's pulling back super hard right now. Once again, I think that this is a shakeout. I think that this is, the volatility is starting here, guys. I think that this is going to be a crazy next few days. And to me, this really is not unexpected. This is something that I didn't explicitly say we're going to dump on Sunday, but I think I hinted a few times at the fact that this late positioning was probably going to get pulled out here, at some point. And I think that that's what we're seeing right now during the stream. So my honest opinion on XRP is even down to 270 to 280 is fine. I think that seeing something like this, guys, if we take into account what I just showed over here on all of these denominations, this is a massive level. And when I say massive level, this would probably, a break of this would probably send, XRP's market cap up hundreds of billions of dollars. So to think that, we're going to pump 50% in 1 week and then do that right after, I don't think that it was that likely. So, if you're freaking out here, I think that it's simple. The rest of the market is still completely intact. As long as Bitcoin is intact, then I don't think there's any cause for worry. XRP was one of the strongest coins the last basically 2-3 weeks. And just like I'm showing right here, I think that if XRP even comes down to the 270, 280, people would be concerned. People would definitely be concerned. But, technically speaking, as long as we're holding our previous value area, which as we can see, value area high right now is about 265, I think that that's still fine. It's still fine. And on top of that, what's even more fine is these VWAPs. I'm sure you guys saw this right here was probably one of the cleanest trades I've done in a long time. I told everyone I would be adding to longs down to 220. That was basically the complete pico bottom of the entire thing. And then we popped up 55%. So, that's the same concept that goes right now. These VWAPs are, look how low they are. We need to create time. If we create time up here, what's going to happen is that these VWAPs are going to completely follow themselves up. And that's kind of what needs to happen. The average positioning, the average price weighted by volume needs to kind of carry itself up there. So that's really my short-term thoughts on XRP. And I want to show one other thing here. If I pop over to Brave, if we pop over to Brave, and I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of posts about this, I want to show something that's pretty interesting here. Essentially, what I've noticed is, I know it's hard to see because there's so many lines here, but if we see this yellow line, this right here is Binance Spot Market. Binance Spot Market has been the main driver behind all of these rallies. And as we can see, when did Binance Spot Market stop bidding? They stopped bidding basically right at the top. We went to 340 after, but they stopped bidding right at the top, and look at what they've been doing since. They've been completely offloading. We go over here, see how much they're offloading right now. Coinbase is completely fine, and it shows that the true driver behind this price action is actually Binance. So it's an interesting thing to note right here, and of course, I'll be keeping eyes, but if I could, this is a little bit slow sometimes, but let's see if this can load up here. I'll show you guys what I mean. That Binance is really, or actually I can show you over here. Binance has been the driver of these legs for a long time, and we could see it right here with the cumulative volume delta. So we see that big spike in buying right there. When was that? That was when we went from 140 to 290. And then the whole consolidation look. Binance was selling, Binance was selling. And then what happened right here? Binance started bidding basically right at, was that like 230? Binance started bidding, bam. And then look what happens right when Binance starts selling off. That was once again right the perfect top. So that's really an interesting thing. I think that a lot of you guys have seen me talk about that. And I know for some of you guys that might not mean anything, but for me, it means that Binance is really the main driver behind a lot of this price action. And I think that it's super easy to watch when Binance starts bidding, we start going up. So for me, there's no cause for concern here. I know during the stream, we basically fell 5%. And like I said, I just want to reiterate that technically speaking, XRP can come back down to 270, 290, 280, and I don't think things would be broken at all. Things would be broken when these VWAPs come up, and then we accept below, and then we accept back within this value area, which is 260 to 210. That's when I would be concerned. And that's when I would say, okay, these resistances that I've been looking at for weeks now on all of these custom denominations, we didn't break that. And what we're seeing here is resistance basically doing resistance type things. So that's really my thoughts on XRP. If you guys want me to go more in depth about it, feel free to send some comments in and I'd love to touch on it. Let me know if that made sense. I'd love to elaborate more because I'm sure a lot of you guys are super interested in XRP. And it's been before the Trump token launched, I think that it was the main mind share. I think everybody was focusing on it. And, it was definitely a super interesting thing that right when this Trump token comes out, look what happens. The attention gets taken away from XRP and all the other coins. But I don't see it to be too concerning. I think that XRP, we look at it this way. XRP went up 50% in basically a week.